Close your eyes and take a slow, steady breath. Allow yourself to feel the rhythm of your body relaxing as we begin our journey together tonight. The world outside grows softer, quieter, and calmer, while within your imagination begins to awaken. Tonight we will travel far away from the everyday, leaving behind the hum of modern life and drifting across time and space. Our destination is an ancient place, a city that whispers of gods, stars, and forgotten secrets, the city of Teotihuacan. As you let yourself settle deeper into comfort, imagine the valley of central Mexico as it is now, and as it once was. Today it is dotted with quiet villages, fields, and the modern hum of distant cities. But centuries ago, long before Europeans arrived on these shores, this valley was alive with an enormous city unlike any other in the Americas. Even now, though it lies in ruins, its avenues and pyramids still command silence and awe. At night, under a blanket of stars, it seems to wait patiently for those who listen closely enough to hear its story. The name Teotihuacan means the place where the gods were created. It is not a name given by its original builders, whose true identity remains a mystery, but by later peoples, the Aztecs, who stumbled upon its vast ruins and could only assume such grandeur must have been divine in origin. And when you stand in that ancient city, or when you imagine it as you lie resting tonight, it is easy to understand why they believed it was a city of the gods. Stretching across more than 8 square miles, Teotihuacan was once among the largest cities in the world. At its height, over 100,000 people called it home, rivaling Rome, Beijing, and Alexandria. But unlike those cities whose names and rulers we know, Teotihuacan hides itself behind silence. We do not know the names of its kings or priests. We do not know the language spoken by its builders, and we do not know exactly why. Centuries later it was abandoned, left for grass and stone to reclaim. But as you relax further, imagine the first moment you see it. You are walking down a great avenue known today as the Avenue of the Dead. On either side rise immense structures, temples, and platforms aligned with almost mathematical precision. At the end of the avenue towers the Pyramid of the Moon, resting beneath the backdrop of a mountain that seems chosen deliberately, as if the builders wished to mirror heaven upon earth. To your right stands the massive Pyramid of the Sun, one of the largest pyramids in the entire world, dwarfing those around it. Imagine climbing its steps slowly, each one carrying you closer to the heavens, closer to the stars. This city was not arranged by accident. Archaeologists have discovered that its builders carefully aligned its avenues and monuments with celestial events. The pyramids echo the paths of the sun and moon, the cycles of the stars, and perhaps even the movements of planets. It is a city built not only for people but for the cosmos, a place where earth and sky were brought into harmony. And yet it is quiet now. Centuries of time have passed and the bustling crowds of merchants, artisans, and priests are gone. What remains is stone, vast, silent, and enduring. In this silence mystery thrives. Who were the people who built this? Why did they devote so much energy to aligning their world with the heavens? What did they believe they were creating? Some say Teotihuacan was a ceremonial city, a kind of spiritual capital for the entire region. Others believe it was a hub of trade and culture, drawing in peoples from across Mesoamerica, each bringing their traditions to form a great multicultural metropolis. Still others whisper of deeper possibilities, that this was not only a human city but a cosmic one, a gateway perhaps to other realms or other beings. As we begin this story tonight, you do not need to decide which of these is true. You need only let the questions rest within you gently, like stars scattered across the night sky. These mysteries will keep us company as you drift further into relaxation. Picture yourself lying at the base of the Pyramid of the Sun. The stone beneath you is cool, steady, eternal. Above, the stars shimmer in endless patterns, the same stars the builders gazed upon so long ago. Somewhere in that ancient silence, the boundary between past and present grows thin. The same sky, the same earth, the same stones, all connecting you to the lives, dreams, and mysteries of those who came before. Tonight, Teotihuacan is not a ruin. It is alive again in your imagination. You can almost hear the echoes of distant footsteps along the Avenue of the Dead, the faint murmur of voices trading in the markets, the solemn chants of priests as fires flicker upon temple platforms. Yet slowly, the sounds fade again, replaced by a hush that draws you deeper into rest. This is where our journey begins, in the quiet, powerful presence of a city both real and mysterious. A city that reminds us how small we are under the stars, and yet how deeply connected to the cosmos we might be. As you breathe slowly, allow your body to sink further into calm and let your thoughts drift gently, like clouds across the moonlit sky. Teotihuacan will be our companion tonight. It will offer us both knowledge and wonder. And as you fall into deeper stillness, remember this was once a place where humanity tried to reach the heavens, where stone was carved to mirror stars, and where mystery lingers waiting to be rediscovered. As you rest deeper into calm, imagine the passage of time moving backwards. The modern world slowly fades away, and we return to a time more than 2,000 years ago. In the valley where Teotihuacan now lies in ruins, there was once only open land, rivers winding through the earth, and scattered villages where families farmed, hunted, and worshipped the forces of nature. The air was fresh and cool, the soil fertile, and the surrounding mountains rose like guardians over the valley floor. It is here, around the year 100 BCE, that people began to gather. No one knows exactly why this location was chosen. Some say the valley was seen as a sacred space, perfectly balanced between mountains and rivers, a mirror of the cosmos itself. Others suggest it was chosen for practical reasons: the rich volcanic soil that nourished crops, the obsidian mines nearby that provided sharp blades and tools, and the location that connected trade routes stretching across ancient Mexico. Whatever the reason, families came together, and slowly, stone by stone, they began to build what would become one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. Picture the scene: small clusters of huts and temples at first, smoke rising gently from cooking fires, children playing along the riverbanks. Over generations, these small settlements grew larger, and the structures became more ambitious. Temples of wood and stone were raised higher, platforms were widened, roads stretched longer. What began as a village was transforming into something extraordinary. The people were not simply building a city, they were shaping a cosmic vision in stone. By around 100 CE, Teotihuacan was no longer just a town but a true metropolis. Imagine walking into this rising city during its early days. You would see wide streets laid out in a careful grid, unlike most other cities of the time. The Great Avenue of the Dead stretched like a spine across the heart of the city, lined with plazas and platforms where rituals and gatherings would take place. At the center, vast pyramids began to rise, their foundations already hinting at the greatness they would one day display. At its height, centuries later, Teotihuacan would be home to over 100,000 people, more than most European cities at the time. Some estimates place its population as high as 200,000, making it one of the largest cities in the world. And yet, unlike Rome or Athens, we do not know the names of its rulers or the exact words of its people. There are no surviving written records. Their history is written only in stone, in murals, and in the alignments of their architecture. The builders of Teotihuacan were a people of vision. They organized their city not haphazardly, but with extraordinary precision. Archaeologists have discovered that the layout of the city was carefully aligned 5 degrees east of true north. This was not a mistake. It appears the entire city was planned in harmony with celestial events, especially the rising and setting of certain stars and the cycles of the sun and moon. Imagine the effort required, not only the labor of thousands of workers hauling stone, but also the mathematical and astronomical knowledge needed to align an entire city with the heavens. Even the materials of Teotihuacan carry a sense of mystery. The pyramids were not built of simple stone blocks alone. Beneath the outer layers, archaeologists have found rubble and volcanic rock, bound together with lime plaster. Some sections contain mica, a shiny mineral that reflects light and is found far away, suggesting that the builders imported rare materials to give their monuments both strength and symbolism. Every decision seems deliberate, each element chosen not only for function but also for meaning. What did these early builders believe they were creating? Some scholars suggest that Teotihuacan was designed as a cosmic map, a reflection of the universe. The Pyramid of the Sun, massive and commanding, may have symbolized the central role of the sun in human and divine life. The Pyramid of the Moon, smaller yet elegant, reflected the cycles of time, fertility, and renewal. The Ciudadela, a vast sunken plaza with a temple at its heart, may have been a stage for grand ceremonies, where priests and rulers connected the earthly realm with the divine. The city was not built overnight. Generation after generation added to it, each one contributing to its grandeur. Imagine children growing up in its shadow, their parents working on temples that would not be finished until long after their lifetimes. To live in Teotihuacan was to live in a city always under construction, always reaching higher, always striving to bring Earth closer to the stars. But even as the city rose, its origins remained shrouded in mystery. Who exactly were the people who built it? Some theories point to the Nahua, ancestors of later peoples like the Aztecs. Others suggest the Teotihuacan or Mixtec, or perhaps even a coalition of many cultures drawn together by trade and shared belief. What seems certain is that Teotihuacan was multicultural from the start, a place where different traditions blended, where art and architecture borrowed from many regions to create something new and unique. As centuries passed, Teotihuacan became not just a settlement but a beacon. Traders came from distant lands, carrying jade feathers, cacao, and shells. Pilgrims traveled from afar to witness the grandeur of its temples and to take part in ceremonies. The city grew into a magnet, drawing people, goods, and ideas from across Mesoamerica. And yet, behind this growth, there must have been an extraordinary guiding vision. Teotihuacan was not built randomly. It was not a city that sprawled without order. It was planned, designed, and executed with purpose. Every pyramid, every avenue, every plaza was a reflection of the cosmos, as if the people believed that by shaping their city in harmony with the heavens, they could ensure harmony within their own lives. Tonight, as you drift deeper into rest, you can imagine this vision unfolding. Picture the valley as it was 2,000 years ago, the air filled with the sound of chisels against stone, the shouts of workers coordinating the placement of massive blocks, the steady rhythm of drums marking ceremonies to bless each stage of construction. Beneath it all, there was a sense of destiny, that this city would not only stand for centuries, but also serve as a bridge between humanity and the divine. This is how Teotihuacan was born, from soil, stone, vision, and mystery. It rose from humble beginnings to become a place so vast, so precise, and so aligned with the heavens that later civilizations could only assume gods themselves had built it. And as we leave this section of the story, resting more deeply, we carry with us a sense of awe, not just for the stones that remain, but for the people who dreamed of building a city that would echo the cosmos itself. As you drift further into relaxation, let your mind follow the wide central avenue of Teotihuacan, the so-called Avenue of the Dead. Imagine yourself moving slowly along its straight path, the stones beneath your feet warmed by the day's sun and now cooling under a rising moon. On either side, immense structures rise in silent symmetry, and before you the outlines of pyramids pierce the horizon like mountains built by human hands. To the builders of Teotihuacan, this was not simply a city, it was a reflection of the cosmos itself. Each temple, each platform, each angle of stone was arranged according to a design that mirrored the heavens. Archaeologists have long studied this precision and have discovered that the entire city is tilted, aligned about 15.5 degrees east of true north. At first glance, this might seem like a simple miscalculation, but the consistency across the city tells a different story. This was deliberate, purposeful. Why? Because when the sun sets on certain important dates such as the Zenith Passage days, it aligns perfectly with the city's layout. Imagine standing at the Pyramid of the Sun on one of these sacred days. As the sun sinks toward the horizon, its golden rays cast a direct glow along the Avenue of the Dead, illuminating the heart of the city as if the cosmos itself were acknowledging its creation. Such alignment is not accidental, it is the work of astronomers and architects working hand in hand, shaping stone to echo sky. The Pyramid of the Sun, rising over 200 feet high, was one of the largest structures in the ancient world. Beneath its massive base lies a network of tunnels and caves, natural formations that the builders expanded and reshaped. Some scholars believe these caves were viewed as entrances to the underworld, places of origin and rebirth. In Mesoamerican mythology, Caves were sacred spaces, symbolic wombs from which life emerged. By placing the largest pyramid above such a cave, the builders may have been creating a cosmic axis, a point where heaven, earth, and the underworld converged. To the north, the Pyramid of the Moon stands smaller but equally commanding. It mirrors the shape of Cerro Gordo, the mountain behind it, as if the builders sought to blend human architecture with the natural landscape. Ritual platforms line its base, suggesting this was a place of ceremony, perhaps connected to fertility, lunar cycles, and the renewal of life. Imagine standing there as priests offered incense and fire, their chants rising to the night sky, perfectly aligned with the rhythms of the moon. At the southern end of the avenue lies the Ciudadela, a vast sunken plaza surrounded by high walls. Within it stands the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, adorned with stone carvings of serpents and other divine beings. Beneath the temple, archaeologists have discovered a long tunnel filled with offerings, seashells from distant coasts, precious jade, carved figurines, and even pools of liquid mercury shimmering like a reflection of the stars. This place seems designed not only as a ceremonial center, but also as a symbolic gateway between worlds. When we consider these monuments together, a picture emerges of a city planned not for convenience, but for cosmic order. Some researchers argue that Teotihuacan's grid may correspond to the movement of celestial bodies such as the Pleiades, or even the planet Venus, which played a central role in Mesoamerican timekeeping and ritual. Others point out that the three major pyramids, the Sun, the Moon, and the Feathered Serpent, bear a striking resemblance to the three stars of Orion's belt. Could it be that the builders were recreating the heavens on Earth, establishing a mirror city where humans and gods could meet? As you drift further into stillness, imagine how this would have appeared to those who lived here 2,000 years ago. At night, the stars spread across the sky like countless sparks, unpolluted by modern light. Each constellation seemed alive, each cycle of the moon or the sun, a message from the divine. To live in Teotihuacan was to live inside a calendar of stone, where the city itself told the time of planting, of harvest, of sacrifice, and of renewal. There is a theory that the Avenue of the Dead was more than just a street. Some believe it was designed as a symbolic journey, a path of transformation. Beginning at the Ciudadela, where the Feathered Serpent Temple lies, linked to themes of creation and sacrifice, one could walk northward, past countless smaller platforms, until reaching the Pyramid of the Sun, and finally the Pyramid of the Moon, a culmination point connected to cycles of death and rebirth. To walk this avenue was to walk the cosmic path of existence itself, and yet, not all is agreed upon. Mainstream archaeologists often caution against over-interpreting these alignments, noting that while the city clearly reflects astronomical knowledge, much of what is proposed may be symbolic rather than scientific. But others insist the precision is too great to dismiss. For them, Teotihuacan was nothing less than a living model of the universe, a place where ritual, society, and cosmos were fused into one grand design. Whether one accepts the cautious skepticism or the bold cosmic theories, the effect is undeniable. Teotihuacan feels ordered, purposeful, and mysterious. When you look at its pyramids from above, or when you imagine yourself floating over them in a dream, the layout resembles not just a city but a mandala, a sacred diagram binding the earthly to the divine. And so, as you breathe slowly and let your body sink deeper into relaxation, hold in your mind this vision, a city that is more than stone, more than streets, more than pyramids. Teotihuacan was a cosmic blueprint, a deliberate attempt to shape the human world in harmony with the stars. Each alignment, each shadow, each structure was part of a grand message written, not in words but in geometry and light. You may never know with certainty what the builders intended. No written text survives to tell us their thoughts, but perhaps that is part of the magic. The silence allows us to dream, to imagine, to wonder. Just as the stars move overhead in quiet eternity, so too does Teotihuacan speak without words, inviting all who visit, or all who imagine, to step into its cosmic design. As the grand city of Teotihuacan rose with its majestic pyramids and cosmic layout, life within its walls was not only about ritual or astronomy, it was also about ordinary people, families, workers, artisans and traders, living their daily lives beneath the shadow of the pyramids. To truly understand the mystery of Teotihuacan, we must step into their world, slow and steady, and imagine what it felt like to be one of its citizens. Picture yourself walking through a wide residential compound, one of the many apartment complexes that housed the city's population. These were not small huts but carefully planned living spaces, often arranged around central courtyards where families gathered. Children played in the open air, while adults ground maize into flour, shaped clay into vessels or prepared food over small fires. The walls around you are decorated with vibrant murals, bright reds, blues and yellows, that depict gods, animals and sacred symbols. Art was not separate from daily life, it surrounded and embraced the people of Teotihuacan. The city thrived on trade, and each morning the great markets would fill with people from many regions. Imagine walking through these markets, where voices speak in a dozen languages, some familiar and others strange. Stalls are piled high with obsidian blades, glimmering like dark glass, with colorful feathers from tropical birds, with cacao beans from the south, ready to be ground into a bitter sacred drink. Shells from distant coasts, jade from Guatemala, and pottery of all shapes and styles fill the scene. The air is rich with the smell of food, fresh tortillas, roasted maize, beans and chili. In these markets you see that Teotihuacan was not just a city but a crossroads of cultures, a meeting place for the ancient world. The artisans of Teotihuacan were masters of their craft. Obsidian, a volcanic glass abundant in the region, was carved into razor-sharp knives, arrowheads and intricate ornaments. Craftsmen shaped clay into both practical vessels and ritual figurines. Painters mixed pigments to create murals that still astonish archaeologists today. There were sculptors, jewelers and weavers, all contributing to the city's wealth and reputation. As you imagine their careful work, slow and steady, you begin to sense that Teotihuacan was more than a city of stone. It was a living organism, each person adding a small piece to the whole. Religion, however, was never far away. Every aspect of life was touched by the sacred. The people of Teotihuacan believed the cosmos was alive, and that their actions helped maintain balance between earth, sky and the underworld. Priests led rituals on platforms and in temples, offering incense and fire to the gods. At times human lives were given in sacrifice, a solemn, powerful act meant to ensure fertility, rainfall or cosmic harmony. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of these sacrifices, including remains of warriors and captives buried beneath temples, adorned with jewelry, and placed carefully as offerings. For the people of Teotihuacan, such acts were not seen as cruel, but as necessary exchanges between humanity and the divine. The city was organized with remarkable care. Neighborhoods were divided into compounds, each with its own style, often reflecting the origins of its inhabitants. Archaeologists have discovered sections where people from Oaxaca, the Gulf Coast and other regions lived together, maintaining their traditions while contributing to the larger city. This diversity may explain why Teotihuacan grew so large and influential. It was a place where cultures blended, where unity was built from difference. At night, after the markets grew quiet and the fires dimmed, families would gather in courtyards to share stories. The pyramids loomed nearby, their dark silhouettes reaching toward the stars. Children must have listened to tales of gods and creation, learning that they lived in the very city where the cosmos itself was shaped. To live in Teotihuacan was to live at the center of the universe, or so it must have felt to those who called it home. Yet life was not only spiritual, it was practical as well. The people grew maize, beans, squash and chili, cultivating terraces and fields with care. They raised turkeys and dogs, fished in lakes and gathered wild plants. Water was managed through canals and reservoirs, ensuring the city could sustain its vast population. Each day workers carried food, stone or goods along the wide avenues, while officials and priests oversaw the order of the city. Still, amid this order there must have been struggle. A city so large required discipline and labor. Some worked under the demands of elites, building temples or serving in rituals they might not have chosen. Inequality surely existed. Those living in grand compounds with elaborate murals enjoyed lives very different from humble farmers or workers in the fields. Yet together they formed the fabric of Teotihuacan, bound by the belief that their city was not just a home but a sacred reflection of the cosmos. As you imagine this daily life, allow your thoughts to soften. Picture the quiet rhythm of grinding maize, the echo of footsteps in a marketplace, the distant chant of priests carried by the wind. Let these sounds fade into the background, as if you yourself are lying in one of those ancient courtyards, gazing at the stars above. The pyramids rise like guardians around you, symbols of a world where the ordinary and the sacred were inseparable. In Teotihuacan, life was lived in the shadow of greatness, great pyramids, great rituals, great mysteries. And yet, within that grandeur, there was also the simplicity of daily existence, families, work, food and love. Both the ordinary and the extraordinary coexisted, weaving together a city that still speaks to us across the centuries. Tonight, as you breathe slowly, you can carry this vision with you. The markets, the murals, the families, the rituals, all part of the heartbeat of a city that rose from the Valley of Mexico to become a place of gods and stars. Teotihuacan was not only a monument to the cosmos, but also a home to countless lives, each one adding a thread to the grand tapestry of mystery that endures even now. Centuries passed after Teotihuacan's golden age. Its markets grew quiet, its temples darkened, and its people slowly vanished. By the year 700 CE, the once mighty city had declined, its pyramids standing silent in the Valley of Mexico waiting. Grass and earth began to reclaim its plazas, the echoes of footsteps fading into silence. For a time, Teotihuacan seemed forgotten, but the stones were too massive, the pyramids too commanding to ever truly disappear. When new peoples arrived centuries later, they discovered this abandoned city with awe and wonder. Among them were the Mexica, whom we now call the Aztecs, who rose to power nearly 700 years after Teotihuacan's fall. To these later rulers, the ruins were no mere city. They believed it was sacred ground, the very place where the universe itself had been created. The Aztecs gave the ruins the name we still use today, Teotihuacan, the place where the gods were created. To them, the immense pyramids were not built by ordinary humans. They believed this was the site of divine sacrifice, where gods gave their lives so that the sun and moon could rise, bringing light and order to the world. Imagine standing with them as they walked the Avenue of the Dead for the first time, gazing up at the towering Pyramid of the Sun. To their eyes, this was proof of the gods' presence, a sacred stage where creation unfolded. Aztec mythology tells of a time before the current world, when darkness covered everything. The gods gathered, uncertain who would sacrifice themselves to rekindle the sun. Two deities stepped forward, Nanahuatzin, humble and diseased, and Teotihuacan, proud and wealthy. Both leapt into the great fire. Nanahuatzin became the sun, burning bright and strong, while Teotihuacan hesitated, becoming the paler moon. Yet even after their sacrifice, the sun and moon refused to move across the sky until the other gods gave their blood to set them in motion. According to the Aztecs, this sacrifice happened here, at Teotihuacan. To the Aztecs, the pyramids were not ruins but monuments of cosmic origin. The Pyramid of the Sun marked the fire where Nanahuatzin leapt. The Pyramid of the Moon represented the cycles of death, rebirth, and the eternal movement of time. Every stone, every shadow was seen as part of this sacred creation story. For the Aztec people, visiting Teotihuacan was a pilgrimage. They traveled to its vast plazas, climbing the pyramids, offering sacrifices and leaving offerings of shells, jade and obsidian. They believed the city held immense power, a lingering energy from the divine acts that had taken place there. Imagine the solemn processions of priests carrying incense burners, their smoke rising into the sky, mingling with the clouds above the silent stones. And yet, while the Aztecs brought their myths, the ruins remained silent. No inscriptions revealed the true builders' names. No voices rose from the stones to confirm or deny the legends. For archaeologists today, this makes Teotihuacan uniquely mysterious. We know much about the Maya, who left behind hieroglyphs, and about the Aztecs, whose codices and records tell their stories. But Teotihuacan speaks only in architecture and in echoes. Into that silence, the Aztecs projected their beliefs, weaving myth and memory into stone. It is fascinating to consider how myths can reshape ruins. The Aztecs believed Teotihuacan was a birthplace of the gods, To modern eyes, it was once a thriving city of real people, builders, farmers, artisans. Which vision is truer? Perhaps both. For those who lived after Teotihuacan's fall, the ruins served as a reminder that human effort can rise so high and yet vanish so completely, leaving only mystery behind. For them it was natural to see the city as divine, for no human civilization could possibly have built something so vast. Over time, this mythological aura only deepened. Spanish chroniclers, arriving after the conquest of the Aztecs, wrote of the reverence with which the ruins were regarded. Even they, unfamiliar with the city's true origins, sensed its power. Standing before the Pyramid of the Sun, with its massive bulk rising from the earth, one cannot help but feel small, as if in the presence of something more than human. Today, archaeologists carefully sift through these layers: Aztec myth, Spanish account, modern interpretation, seeking glimpses of truth. We know the Aztecs misunderstood the origins of Teotihuacan, yet their myths gave the ruins a new life, carrying their memory across centuries. In this way, Teotihuacan became not only a city of stone but a canvas for human imagination, a mirror reflecting the beliefs of each civilization that encountered it. As you rest now, let yourself imagine both realities at once. On one side, picture the bustling markets and families of Teotihuacan's original builders, the everyday lives we explored before. On the other side, imagine the Aztecs walking those same avenues centuries later, believing with all their hearts that this was the place where the sun and moon were born. Two different worlds, separated by time, yet both tied to the same stones, the same pyramids, the same cosmic mystery. It is this blending of history and myth that makes Teotihuacan so powerful. It is both real and legendary, both human and divine. As you close your eyes and breathe slowly, you may feel that same duality within yourself, the everyday rhythms of life, and the deeper mysteries that linger just beyond understanding. Tonight, Teotihuacan speaks to you not only as an ancient city, but as a sacred echo. The Aztecs left their stories here, weaving them into the silence of the stones, and whether those stories are fact or myth, they continue to guide us, reminding us that even ruins can give birth to gods in the imagination of those who come after. Even after centuries of study, Teotihuacan still guards its deepest secrets. The pyramids remain, their stone faces weathered by wind and time, but the voices of their builders are gone. No written history survives to explain who they were, why they built such vast monuments, or what ultimately led to their decline. Instead, we are left with traces, artifacts, murals, bones and alignments that hint at something greater, something unfinished, waiting for us to listen. For many archaeologists, the absence of inscriptions is the greatest puzzle. The Maya carved hieroglyphs into stelae and temples. The Aztecs kept codices, painted records of their myths and histories, but at Teotihuacan, nothing of that kind remains. Was it lost in fire? Was it never recorded? Or was it deliberately erased? Without words, we must rely on symbols, murals of feathered serpents, jaguars, and strange beings with masks and headdresses. They seem to whisper of gods, rituals, and other worldly powers, but their meanings are veiled, and interpretation drifts like a dream. Some researchers see Teotihuacan as a purely human achievement, a great city that rose through careful planning, trade, and religion. They point to its vast urban design, its grid layout, its multi-story apartments, and its evidence of a multi-ethnic population. These details show us a metropolis of incredible complexity, organized by leaders whose names are lost but whose vision still stands in stone. Yet others look at the same evidence and see something different, something stranger. One of the most intriguing mysteries is the city's alignment. The Avenue of the Dead is not oriented to the cardinal directions, but tilted about 15.5 degrees east of north. Scholars have long debated why. Some argue it aligns with certain stars, perhaps the Pleiades or Orion's belt, which were important in Mesoamerican cosmology. Others suggest it aligns with the setting of the Pleiades cluster at a particular time, signaling agricultural cycles. But there are also those who wonder if the alignment reflects something more cosmic, a deliberate attempt to mirror the heavens on Earth. This is where alternative theories emerge, whispering like winds through the ruins. Some writers have suggested that Teotihuacan was designed as a vast model of the solar system. The Pyramid of the Sun, they say, represents the sun itself, while other smaller temples mark the positions of the planets. Measurements of distances between structures seem to some to echo orbital distances, as if the builders encoded astronomical knowledge far beyond their time. Though mainstream scholars dispute these claims, the idea remains alluring, a city that was both a home for humans and a map of the cosmos. Another mystery lies beneath the Earth. In 2003, archaeologists discovered a hidden tunnel under the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. For years it was explored carefully, revealing chambers filled with offerings, seashells, jade, obsidian blades, even small statues. Most mysterious of all was the discovery of hundreds of spheres made of clay and coated in pyrite, glittering like stars when lights first shone upon them. What were these for? Some suggest they symbolized the heavens, others think they were ritual objects, used in ceremonies that combined light, reflection, and shadow to create awe and mystery. Even stranger are the materials found deep inside the tunnels. Some excavators reported traces of liquid mercury, a rare and dangerous substance in the ancient world. Mercury was not used in daily life, but in ritual it may have symbolized rivers of the underworld or the shimmering path between worlds. Its presence raises questions. How did they mine and transport it? And why risk such a dangerous material if not for something of immense symbolic power? Here theories expand into the extraordinary. Some suggest that Teotihuacan's tunnels were not merely ritual chambers but gateways, portals to communicate with gods or beings from beyond. Ancient astronaut theorists go further, proposing that the city's builders were influenced by extraterrestrial visitors who imparted knowledge of astronomy, engineering, and cosmic cycles. The glittering pyrite spheres, the mercury rivers, the celestial alignments, all are seen as clues pointing toward otherworldly involvement. Mainstream archaeology remains cautious. Most researchers argue that these features can be explained within the context of Mesoamerican religion and society. Ritual tunnels, cosmic symbolism, and offerings were part of many ancient cultures. But even within academic circles there is acknowledgement that Teotihuacan seems unique, larger and stranger than its contemporaries. Its lack of inscriptions, its enormous scale, and its cosmological design invite speculation. Psychologically, this mystery draws us in because it reflects a human need, the need to explain what seems unexplainable. When we stand before the Pyramid of the Sun, dwarfed by its sheer size, our minds naturally reach beyond ourselves. We imagine gods or aliens, or lost civilizations with knowledge we no longer possess. The ruins become a mirror for our own imagination, reflecting both our curiosity and our longing to connect with something greater. Culturally, Teotihuacan has become a canvas for countless interpretations. To the Aztecs, it was the birthplace of gods. To the Spanish chroniclers, it was a strange relic of a vanished people. To modern scientists, it is a puzzle of urban planning and social complexity. To alternative thinkers, it is evidence of lost wisdom, hidden power, or even extraterrestrial contact. Each generation projects its own fears and hopes onto the stones, keeping the mystery alive. As you listen now, let yourself drift between these interpretations. Imagine one moment that Teotihuacan was a human city, bustling with trade and life, its people gazing at the stars and weaving their beliefs into stone. Then imagine another moment, that the alignments were deliberate signals, maps of the cosmos drawn by beings who came from beyond the earth. Both images exist side by side, neither proven nor disproven, both echoing in the silence of the ruins. What makes Teotihuacan enduring is not that we know the answers but that we don't. It is the unanswered questions, the shimmering possibilities that give it power. The tunnels remain partially unexplored. The symbols remain only partly understood. The silence of the builders remains unbroken, and so the city invites us to dream, to wonder, to create stories that bridge the gap between history and myth, science and imagination. As night falls over the Valley of Mexico, the pyramids still catch the last light of the sun just as they did thousands of years ago. They remain patient and immovable, guardians of secrets we may never fully uncover. And in that mystery there is peace, because not all questions need answers, and not all stories need endings. So let your breathing slow, your body soften, and your mind wander gently into the spaces between truth and legend. Teotihuacan does not demand certainty, it offers mystery. And mystery, like a lullaby, carries us softly into the unknown. The story of Teotihuacan did not end with its decline. Even after its people disappeared, its pyramids stood tall, visible for miles across the Valley of Mexico. Like silent mountains, they shaped the imagination of all who saw them. Over the centuries, Teotihuacan became more than a city. It became a symbol, carried forward by myth, culture, and the deep human need to connect past and present. When the Aztecs discovered the abandoned ruins, they infused them with divine meaning. As we explored earlier, they believed Teotihuacan was the birthplace of the gods, a sacred stage where the sun and moon had first risen. In their ceremonies, they returned life to the ruins, filling the empty plazas with offerings, chants, and sacred smoke. For them, Teotihuacan symbolized origin, sacrifice, and cosmic order. These myths survived conquest, carried through oral tradition, and recorded by Spanish chroniclers, ensuring that the city's symbolic weight endured even after the fall of the Aztec Empire. With the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century, Teotihuacan's identity shifted once again. The conquistadors, unfamiliar with its history, saw it through the lens of European thought. They described it as a land of giants, suggesting that such massive pyramids could not have been built by ordinary men. Some likened the ruins to the works of Egypt or Babylon, weaving Teotihuacan into the broader tapestry of biblical and classical traditions. This blending of European and indigenous perspectives created a dual narrative, one rooted in myth, another in comparative wonder. In the centuries that followed, Teotihuacan became a site of fascination for explorers, antiquarians, and eventually archaeologists. By the 19th century, as Mexico sought to shape its national identity, Teotihuacan emerged as a symbol of cultural pride. Its pyramids were no longer seen merely as mysterious relics. They were celebrated as proof of the grandeur and sophistication of Mexico's ancient civilizations. Writers, painters, and poets drew inspiration from its forms, using the ruins as a backdrop for stories of national origin, resilience, and continuity. In the 20th century, this symbolic role deepened. As Mexico modernized, Teotihuacan became a touchstone for cultural renewal. Festivals, ceremonies, and academic gatherings all converged on its plazas. Murals inspired by its imagery appeared in schools and government buildings. For many Mexicans, Teotihuacan became not only an archaeological site, but a living emblem of heritage, reminding people of their connection to the deep past. The ruins also entered the spiritual imagination of the wider world. New Age thinkers, mystics, and seekers of hidden wisdom began to view Teotihuacan as more than an ancient city. To them, it was a center of energy, a place where cosmic forces could be felt and absorbed. The pyramids, they said, were not just monuments, but reservoirs of spiritual power, designed to channel energy between the earth and the heavens. Even today, pilgrims gather at the Pyramid of the Sun during the spring equinox, raising their arms to the sky to absorb the light as the sun rises directly above the ancient stones. Modern symbolism has expanded beyond spirituality. For scientists, Teotihuacan represents the ingenuity of human civilization. Its grid-like design, its engineering feats, and its complex social structure are reminders of what humans can achieve without modern machines. For historians, it is a lesson in mystery, an enduring puzzle that resists easy answers. For artists and writers, it is a muse, a structure so vast and silent that it demands interpretation. The city has also become part of global popular culture. Films, novels, and documentaries often use Teotihuacan as a setting for stories of lost civilizations, hidden powers, and cosmic encounters. Its pyramids appear on book covers, album art, and even video games. Each appearance adds another layer of meaning, reshaping the way the world sees the ruins. To some, it is a site of ancient wisdom. To others, it is a backdrop for adventure. In both cases, its symbolic role continues to grow. Psychologically, this enduring influence reveals something about us. Teotihuacan reflects a universal human fascination with origins. We look at the pyramids and wonder, who built them? Why did they leave? What knowledge did they possess that we have lost? These questions echo across cultures, touching something deep in the human mind. The ruins symbolize the tension between permanence and impermanence, the fact that a city so great could fall into silence, and yet its stones remain, carrying whispers of its past. Culturally, Teotihuacan also represents unity. Its original inhabitants were likely a mix of different ethnic groups, Zapotec, Mixtec, Maya and others, living together in a vast metropolis. Today that diversity is reflected in Mexico's own cultural identity, a blend of many traditions woven into one. In this way, the ruins stand as a reminder that collaboration and exchange can create wonders that endure far beyond their builders. And so Teotihuacan continues to inspire. It inspires scientists to dig deeper, artists to dream bolder, seekers to meditate, and travelers to wander. It is both a ruin and a living presence, both silent and full of voice. Its cultural influence is not frozen in stone but constantly evolving, as each generation projects its own meaning onto the pyramids. As you lie back and breathe slowly, imagine yourself standing at the center of the Avenue of the Dead, feeling the weight of time on either side of you. Behind you, the footsteps of ancient pilgrims. Before you, the cameras of modern tourists. Above you, the eternal sky, unchanged across millennia. Teotihuacan unites them all. The past, the present and the dream of the future, woven into one great symbol that continues to shine in human memory. For centuries, Teotihuacan lay in silence, its stones slowly weathering under sun and rain. Pilgrims visited, myths grew and travelers marveled, but only in recent times have scientists begun to peel back the layers of its mystery. The 20th and 21st centuries have brought new eyes, new tools and new discoveries, yet with each answer more questions emerge, reminding us that Teotihuacan still guards its deepest secrets. Archaeologists first approached the site with simple methods, clearing vegetation, mapping structures and unearthing artifacts. In the early 1900s, Mexican archaeologist Leopoldo Batres led one of the first large-scale excavations, focusing on the Pyramid of the Sun. His efforts revealed much, but also caused controversy, as reconstruction sometimes blurred the line between original design and modern repair. Still, his work marked the beginning of scientific inquiry into Teotihuacan, setting the stage for the discoveries to come. Later generations of researchers brought more refined methods. Stratigraphy, radiocarbon dating, and careful excavation revealed the city's long history, from its rise around 100 BCE to its peak between 250 and 550 CE, and finally its decline around 700 CE. Evidence of fire and destruction suggested conflict, perhaps civil unrest or invasion, but no single explanation has yet been proven. The story of Teotihuacan's fall remains one of archaeology's great puzzles. In recent decades, technology has opened even deeper windows into the past. Ground-penetrating radar, drones and LiDAR scanning have allowed scientists to see beneath the earth without disturbing it. These tools revealed networks of tunnels, hidden chambers, and even entire neighborhoods once buried beneath layers of soil. Aerial surveys showed the city's vast orderly grid stretching far beyond what early archaeologists had imagined, confirming that Teotihuacan was one of the largest urban centers of the ancient world. One of the most stunning modern discoveries came in 2003, when heavy rains exposed a sinkhole near the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Archaeologists lowered cameras into the opening and discovered a long sealed tunnel leading deep beneath the temple. For nearly a decade, researchers carefully excavated this passage, uncovering thousands of artifacts: seashells from distant coasts, jade from Guatemala, obsidian blades and statues of enigmatic figures. Most striking were the glittering spheres, round objects made of clay once coated in pyrite. When first illuminated by artificial light, they sparkled like stars in the darkness, evoking the night sky within the earth. Even more mysterious was the discovery of pools and traces of liquid mercury deep in the chambers. To the ancient builders, mercury may have symbolized rivers of the underworld or the shimmering bridge between the human world and the divine. Modern scientists were astonished. Handling mercury safely is difficult even today. Its presence suggested knowledge, ritual importance, and perhaps beliefs about transformation and cosmic connection. In addition to artifacts, modern science has uncovered new details about the people of Teotihuacan. Bioarchaeological studies of bones reveal a city of diversity. People from distant regions, Oaxaca, the Gulf Coast, the Maya lowlands, lived and died here. Stable isotope analysis of teeth shows varied diets, while DNA studies suggest intermarriage among groups. Teotihuacan was not an isolated city, but a vibrant multi-ethnic metropolis, connected through trade, religion and shared ritual. Murals have also been studied with modern techniques. Once thought to be simple decorations, they are now recognized as rich texts of symbolism. Imaging technologies reveal pigments made with rare minerals, some brought from distant lands. The images, jaguars, serpents and gods with elaborate headdresses, may represent both political power and cosmic belief systems. Scholars still debate their exact meaning, but what is clear is that art at Teotihuacan was not merely ornamental, it was central to its spiritual and social life. Perhaps most fascinating are the ongoing efforts to understand Teotihuacan's urban planning. Satellite data shows the city's layout with extraordinary precision. Its 15.5-degree tilt continues to intrigue researchers, suggesting alignments with celestial events or sacred landscapes. Some argue it was aligned with the setting of the Pleiades, or the path of the sun on certain days of the year. Others see connections to surrounding mountains and rivers, weaving the city into both the heavens above and the earth below. Despite these advances, mysteries persist. Who ruled Teotihuacan? Unlike the Maya, no kings or queens are depicted in its art. Some scholars believe power was shared among councils or collectives. Others think rulers may have existed but were deliberately kept anonymous, their identities hidden to emphasize the supremacy of gods over humans. The absence of royal inscriptions may have been intentional, creating a city that belonged to the divine rather than to individuals. Modern investigations also raise questions about daily life. Excavations of apartment compounds reveal a society of surprising equality. Many families lived in similar-sized homes with shared courtyards and kitchens. While differences existed, the city did not show the sharp divisions seen in some other ancient cultures. This suggests a complex social system, one that balanced hierarchy with communal living, perhaps guided by religious or cosmic principles. For the scientific community, Teotihuacan has become a laboratory of discovery. Each dig, each scan, each analysis adds new pieces to the puzzle. Yet the more we learn, the more we realize how much remains unknown. The tunnels beneath the pyramids are not fully explored. The murals are only partly understood. The city's ultimate fate, why it fell so suddenly, remains unresolved. For the wider world, these discoveries have only deepened Teotihuacan's aura of mystery. Media reports describe the sparkling spheres, the mercury rivers, the alignments with stars. Documentaries speculate about cosmic maps and forgotten knowledge. Tourists arrive in greater numbers, walking the same avenues, climbing the same steps, gazing at the same horizons as those who came before. And so modern science has not diminished the mystery of Teotihuacan, it has amplified it. The pyramids, once seen as silent ruins, now speak through data, artifacts and patterns. But their voice is still half hidden, like a dream whose meaning slips away upon waking. Each discovery is like a fragment of a larger story, one we are still learning how to read. As you breathe slowly and let your thoughts drift, imagine the scientists at work, carefully brushing soil from an ancient artifact, lowering scanners into tunnels, studying bones under a microscope. Their tools are modern, but their wonder is timeless. They too stand in awe before the stones, seeking to understand, to connect, to glimpse the lives of those who came before. Tonight, Teotihuacan rests under the stars as it always has. Its secrets lie buried in tunnels and chambers, in murals and stones, in alignments written in the sky. Modern science will continue to probe, to question, to discover. But even as we learn more, the city remains what it has always been, a place of mystery, a place where the human and the cosmic meet, a place where silence speaks louder than words. The story of Teotihuacan is not a story with an ending. It is a circle, a rhythm, an echo across time. Its pyramids still rise from the Valley of Mexico, silent yet alive, inviting us to listen. We began with a city of stone, a city built by human hands, yet one that feels touched by something greater. We followed its rise, its bustling life, its decline and its rebirth in myth. We explored the mysteries beneath its surface and the questions that remain unanswered. And now we rest with it, letting its presence carry us into calm reflection. As you lie back and breathe slowly, picture once more the avenue of the dead stretching out before you. The night is quiet, the air cool, the stars above as sharp and endless as they were thousands of years ago. On your left, the pyramid of the moon stands against the horizon, shadowed yet strong. On your right, the vast bulk of the pyramid of the sun glows faintly in the starlight. Ahead, the temple of the feathered serpent rests, its carved serpents frozen mid-movement, watching as if across centuries. All is still, all is silent, except for your breathing, steady and calm. Teotihuacan is more than an ancient city. It is a reminder. It reminds us that human achievement can reach incredible heights and yet vanish. It reminds us that myth and history are often woven together, each giving shape to the other. It reminds us that even ruins have voices, even silence carries meaning, and most of all it reminds us that mystery has a place in our lives. Not every question needs an answer. Sometimes the unknown itself is what brings peace. Think of the people who once lived here. Artisans carving obsidian blades, families cooking in shared courtyards, children chasing each other across plazas, priests raising incense toward the sky. Their names are gone, their words lost, but their presence lingers. You can almost hear their footsteps in the dust, their laughter carried on the wind. To walk Teotihuacan today is to walk with ghosts, not frightening but gentle, whispering reminders that we are part of a much longer story than our own lives alone. Think too of the Aztecs, arriving centuries later, looking upon the same stones with awe. To them this was not a city of men, but of gods. They projected their myths here, seeing in the pyramids the birth of the sun and the moon, the sacrifice that gave life to the world. Their vision may not have been literal truth, but it was a deeper truth, an acknowledgement that the ruins held power beyond human understanding. And then think of the modern world, scientists scanning the earth with radar, archaeologists uncovering tunnels filled with glittering spheres, tourists climbing pyramids, holding their breath at the summit as they look across the valley. Each one is touched by the same feeling: wonder, a connection to something vast, ancient and enduring. Teotihuacan continues to inspire because it transcends time. It speaks to the past, but also to the present, and even to the future. As you let your body relax, notice how this journey reflects your own inner world. Just as the pyramids rise from the valley floor, so too do your thoughts rise and fall. Just as Teotihuacan carries mysteries that cannot be solved, so too do you carry questions that do not need immediate answers. And just as the city endures, quiet and steady, so too does your own being endure, calm beneath the surface of daily life. Tonight you rest with Teotihuacan. The mysteries are not problems to be solved, but stories to be carried gently into sleep. The alignments with stars, the tunnels with Mercury, the myths of gods and sacrifices, all these drift together like clouds across the night sky. You do not need to hold them tightly. You only need to let them pass one by one, until only calm remains. Imagine yourself now lying at the base of the pyramid of the sun. The stone is cool beneath you. Above, the stars glitter in silence. You feel the vast weight of history around you, yet you also feel light, as if floating in timelessness. Each breath you take is steady, slow and easy. In this place you are safe. You are part of the earth and the sky. You are part of the same mystery that drew people here thousands of years ago. Teotihuacan teaches us patience. Its secrets have waited for centuries, and many may never be revealed. Yet that does not lessen their value. If anything, it increases it. The unknown gives us space to dream, to imagine, to wonder, and in wonder there is peace. So as your eyelids grow heavy, let the pyramids fade softly into the darkness of your mind. Let the avenue of the dead become a path into sleep. Let the myths of gods and the discoveries of science blend together, forming a gentle background to your dreams. Teotihuacan will remain, as it always has, silent, strong, eternal, and you will rest, carried on the same timeless current. Good night, traveler of mysteries. Sleep peacefully, knowing that Teotihuacan's story continues through stones, through stars, and through the dreams of all who listen.